Warning, page 176. All this flashed through my mind, and through Zhdanek's too, in a moment. I only had to ask quietly, "Aha," and he quietly replied, "Madeira." I get steadily nearer and am now forcing their boat toward the steep bank, toward the dark forest. I must be quick to prevent them from reaching the next bend in the river in case the forest ends there. I change my voice to one of authority and give my orders. "Attention, we are MVD operations group. Put into shore. I want to inspect her papers." The rower threw down his oars. Had he lost his head? Or was he perhaps overjoyed to find that we were policemen and not robbers? "Of course," he said, "you can inspect them here or on the river." I said, Put in to the shore, and that's what you'll do. And be quick about it." We got close to them. Our sides were almost touching. We jumped across. He scrambled with difficulty over his bundles, and we saw that he had a limp. His wife woke up. "Is it far now?" The young man handed over his passport. "What about your draft card?" "I was invalided out, wounded. I'm exempt." "Here's the certificate." I saw a gleam of metal in the prow of their boat. An axe. I signaled to Kolya to remove it. He rushed to abruptly and seized the axe. The woman felt something was wrong and set up a howl. "What's all that noise?" I said sternly. "Cut it out. You're looking for runaways, criminals, and an axe is as good a weapon as any." She calmed down a little. I give Kolya's orders. "Lieutenant, slip down to the observation post. Captain Voropyov should be there." The name and rank came to me automatically. I'll tell you why. We had left a pal of ours, Captain Voropyov, behind in Averbakh suits, confined to the cells for trying to escape. Kolya understood. He was to see whether there was anyone around up top, or whether we would act. Up he ran. In the meantime, I carried on questioning and inspecting. Excuse me. My suspect obligingly struck matches for me. I ran through their passports and certificates. His age was just right, too. The veteran was under 40. He had worked as a boy keeper. Now they had sold their home and their cow. He would have all the money with him, of course. They were going to seek their fortune. They couldn't get there in a day, so they had set off by night. A rare chance, an extraordinary chance, above all because no one would miss them. But what did we need from them? Did we need their lives? No, I'd never murdered, and I didn't want to now. An interrogator or an operations officer. When he was tormenting me. Yes, but I couldn't raise my hand against ordinary working people. Should I take their money? All right. But just a little. How little, though? Enough for 2 tickets to Moscow and some food? And some of their gear? That wouldn't ruin them. What if we left them their papers and the boat and made a deal with them not to report us? It wouldn't be easy to trust them, and how could we manage without papers? If we took their papers, they would have no choice to report us. To prevent their doing so, we must tie them up, here and now. Tie them up, and well and truly, so that we should have 2 or 3 days head start. But in that case, wouldn't it be simply better to... Kolya came back and signaled that everything was all right up above. He was waiting for me to say Madeira. What was I to do? The slave camp of Averbakh suits rose before my eyes. Could I go back to that? Surely we had the right. And suddenly Something very lightly touched my legs. I looked down, something small and white, and with its tail stiffened as a stalk in the air, it purred and rubbed itself against my leg. I didn't know what I was thinking. I felt as though the touch of this kitten had sapped my willpower, stretched taut for 20 days. Ever since I had slipped under the wire, it suddenly seemed to snap. I felt that, whatever Kolya might say to me now, I could never take their lives, nor even the money they had earned in the sweat of their brows. Still keeping a stern face, I said, "Right, wait here, and we'll soon see what's what." We climbed the cliff. I had my papers in hand. I told Kolya what I was thinking. He said nothing. He disagreed, but he said nothing. That's how the world is changed. They can take anyone's freedom from him without a qualm. If we want to take back the freedom from him, if we want to take back the freedom which is our birthright, they make us pay with our lives and the lives of all whom we meet on the way. They can do anything, but we cannot. That's why they are stronger than we. Without coming to an agreement, we went down again. Only the lame man was by the boat. "Where's your wife?" She was frightened. She ran into the forest. "Here are your papers. You can go on your way." He thanked me and shouts into the forest, "Maria, come back. They're honest people." We pushed off. I wrote quickly. The ordinary working man, the man with the bad legs, suddenly remembers and shouts after me, "Comrade officer, we saw 2 chaps yesterday. Looked just like bandits. If we'd have known, we'd have held the rotters." "Still feel sorry for him?" asked Kolya. I said nothing. From that night, from the moment we went indoors for warming up, or perhaps when we met the white kitten, our escape began to go wrong. We had lost something: our confidence, our tenacity, our ability to think straight, the instinctive understanding between us. Now that we were nearly in Omsk, we started making mistakes, pulling different ways. When runaways behave like that, they do not run much farther. Toward morning, we abandoned the boat. We slept through the day in a haystack, but uneasily. Darkness fell. We were hungry. It was time to stew some meat, but we had lost our bucket in retreat. I decided to fry it. We found a tractor seat. It would do for a frying pan. The potatoes we could bake. Nearby stood a tall hut, left behind by haymakers. In the mental blackout which had come upon me that day, I thought it a good idea to light my fire inside the hut. It would be invisible from all sides. Kolya didn't want any supper at all. Let's move on. Once again, we couldn't see eye to eye. I did light a fire in the hut, but I put too much wood on, and the fire jumped to the stack. The whole hut went up in flames. I barely managed to crawl out. Then the fire jumped to the stack, the one in which we had spent the day, and it blazed up. Suddenly I felt sorry for that hay, so sweet-scented and so kind to us. I started scattering it, rolling on the ground in an attempt to put it out to prevent the fire from spreading. Kolya sat aloof, sulked, and offered no help. What a trail I'd left now. What a conflagration it was. The glow could be seen many kilometers away. What's more, this was an act of sabotage. For running away, they would only give us the same quarter we already had. But for malicious destruction of Kolkat's hay, they could put us under if they wished. The worst of it is that each mistake increases the likelihood of further mistakes. You lose your self-confidence you feel for the situation, your feel for the situation. The hut had burned down, the potatoes were baked, the cinders took the place of salt. We ate some of them. We walked on in the night, skirted a big village, found a shovel, picked it up, in case it might be useful. We moved in closer to the Irtish, and were brought to a halt by a creek. Should we make another detour? It was a nuisance. We looked around a bit and found a boat without oars. Never mind, the shovel would do for an oar. We crossed the creek. Then I strapped the shovel to my back so that the handle would stick up like the barrel of a gun. In the dark, we might pass for hunters. So soon afterward, someone came toward us, and we stepped aside. Petro, he said, "You've got the wrong man. I'm not Petro." We walked all night, slept in a haystack again. We were awakened by a steamer whistle. We stuck our heads out and saw a wharf quite near. Lorries were carrying melons onto it. Omsk is near, Omsk is near, Omsk is near. Time to shave and get a hold of some money. Kolya keeps on nagging me. We shan't make it now. But what's the good of running away to this place if you're going to feel sorry for people? Our fate was in the balance, and you had to feel sorry for them. We shan't make it now. And he was right. It seems so senseless now. With neither razor nor money. Both had been in our hands, and we didn't take the chance. And we didn't take them. To think after all those years longing to escape, after showing so much cunning, after crawling under the wire, expecting a bullet in the back at any moment, after 6 days without water, after 2 weeks crossing the desert we had not taken what was ours for the taking. How could I go into Omsk unshaven? How were we going to pay for the journey on from Omsk? We lay through the day in the haystack. Couldn't sleep, of course. About 5 o'clock, Zhdanov says, "Let's go right now and take a look around while it's light." "Certainly not," I say. He says, It's nearly a month now. You're overdoing the caution. I'm getting out of this and going by myself." I threaten him. "Watch you don't get a knife in you." But of course I would never stab him. He quieted down and lay still. Then suddenly he rolled out of the stack and walked off. What should I do? Let him go? Just like that? I jumped down to him, went after him. We walked on in the broad daylight, following the road along the Irtish. We sat behind a haystack to talk things over. If we met anyone now, we couldn't let him go, in case he reported us before it was dark. Kolya carelessly ran out to see whether the road was clear, and a young fellow immediately spotted him. We had to call him over. "Come on over here, pal. Let's watch your troubles go up in smoke." "What troubles have you got?" "Me and my brother-in-law are on holiday, taking a trip up on the river. I'm from Omsk, and he's a fitter from the ship repair yards in Pavlodar. And well, our boat slipped its moorings in the night and got away. All we've got left is what was on the bank." "Who are you then?" I'm a boy keeper." "Haven't seen our boat anywhere, have you? In the reeds, maybe?" "No." "Where's your post?" "Over there." He pointed to a little house. "So let's go to your place and we'll stew some meat and have a shave." Off we go. But a house we'd seen turned out to be that of its neighbor, another boy keeper. The man's house was 300 meters farther on. More company. No sooner than we had entered the house than the neighbor had cycled over to see us. With his sporting gun, he eyed my stubble and questioned me about life in Omsk. Some good asking a jailbird like me about life on the outside. I babbled something vague, the gist of which is that the housing situation was bad. The food situation was bad, and the consumer goods situation was bad. Couldn't go far wrong there, I thought. He looked sour and contradicted me. It appeared that he was a party member. Kolya made soup. We must eat our fill while we could. We might not have another chance till Omsk. It was a wearisome wait for darkness. We couldn't let either of them leave us. And what if a third came along? At last they both got ready to attend to their lights. We offered to help. The party man refused. I shall just set 2 lights and then I have to go to the village. I'm taking my family a load of brushwood. I'll look in again later. I signaled to Kolya not to take his eyes off the party man, and the slightest said if anything wrong to dive into the bushes. I show him where to meet me. I go with our man. From his boat I inspect the lie of the land and question him about distances. We return at the same time as the neighbor. That sets my mind at rest. He hasn't had time to turn us in yet. Shortly afterward he drives up, as he said he would, with a load of brushwood on his cart. But instead of driving on, he sits down to sample Kolya's soup. He won't go away. What are we to do? Tie the pair of them up. Shove one in the cellar. Tie the other one to a bed. They both have papers, and the neighbor has a bicycle and a gun. That's what life on the run does to you. Simple hospitality isn't enough. You have to take more by force. Suddenly, the creak of rowlocks. I look through the window of 3 men in a boat, which makes it 5 to 2 now. My host goes out and immediately returns for jerry cans. Foreman's brought out kerosene. He says, "Funny, he's come himself. It's Sunday today." Sunday. We had stopped reckoning by the day of the week. It wasn't that name that made one of our days different from another. It had been Sunday evening when we escaped, so that it had been exactly 3 weeks. What was going on in the camp? The dog pack would have despaired of catching us by now. In 3 weeks we had torn off in a lorry. We could long ago have fixed ourselves up somewhere in Karelia or Belarus, got passports and jobs, or with a bit of luck even farther west. How galling it would be to have to give in now, after 3 weeks. Right, Kolya, we're stocked up. Now we're stocked up. What do you say to a hearty crab? We go out to the bushes and watch what is going on. Our host is taking kerosene from the newly arrived boat, and the neighbor with the party cart has also joined them. They are talking about something, but we can't hear what. I've gone, I said Kolya, back to the house on the double. I don't want to leave the boy keepers alone to talk about us. I myself go quickly to our host's boat, so as not to rattle the chains, and make an effort to pull up the post to which it is attached. I calculate how much time we have. If the foreman boy keeper had gone to report us, he is 7 kilometers, which means about 40 minutes from the village. If there are red taps in the village, it will take another 15 minutes or so to get ready and drive over here. I go into the house. The neighbor is still not ready to leave. He's entertaining them with his conversation. Very strange, so we shall have to take both of them at once. What about it, Kolya? Shall we go and have a wash before bedtime? We must agree on a plan. The moment we go out to hear the tramp of the boots in the darkness. The moment we go out, we hear the tramp of boots in the darkness. Stooping, we can see against a pale sky. The moon hasn't risen yet. Men running in line, past the bushes and surround the house. To the boat, I whisper to Kolya. I run toward the river, slide down the steep bank, fall and reach the boat. Every second I mean the difference between life and death. But Kolya is missing. Where can he have gone to? I can't desert him. At last he comes running along the bank in the darkness straight toward me. That you, Kolya? A flash, a shot, point blank. I do a swan dive, arms outstretched in the boat. Bursts of submachine gun fire from the steep bank. Shots. We got one of them. They bend over me. Wounded? I groan. They drag me on and lead me off. I limp. If I'm injured, they will beat me less. In the darkness, I surreptitiously throw 2 knives into the grass. Up top, the red tabs ask my name, Johnny Rob. Maybe I could still wriggle out of it somehow. I'm reluctant to give my name. If I do, that's the end of my freedom. They hit me in the face. Name, Stolyarov. They drag me into the hut, strip me to the waist, tie my hands tightly behind my back with wire that cuts into me. They press the points of their bayonets against my belly. A trickle of blood runs from under one of them. The militiaman who captured me, Senior Lieutenant Sabotajnikov, drops his revolver in my face, and I can see that it is cocked. Name, resistance is useless. I tell them. Where's the other one? He wags his revolver. The bayonets bite deeper. Where's the other? I feel happy for Kolya. We were together, I tell them. Most likely he was killed. Security officer with bright blue facings arrived. A Kazakh. He shoved me into the bed with my hands tied as I half-sat, half-lay. Began rhythmically striking me in the face, left, right, as though he were swimming. With every blow, my head banged against the wall. Where's your weapon? What weapon? You were seen in the night with a gun. So the night hunter we had seen had also betrayed us. That was a shovel, not a rifle. He didn't believe me and went on hitting me. Suddenly, there was no more pain. I had lost consciousness. When it came around, someone was saying, "Don't forget, if any one of us is wounded, we'll finish you off on the spot." They must somehow have sensed it. Kolya really didn't have a gun. It all became clear to me later when I said to the boat, Kolya had run the other way into the bushes. The explanation was that he hadn't understood. There was more to it. He had been itching to go his own way all day, and now he did so. Besides, he had remembered the bicycle, taking his direction. From the shops, he rushed away from the river and crawled back the way he had come. Sorry. By now, it was really dark, and while the whole pack of them were crowding around me, he rose to his feet and ran and wept as he went, thinking they'd killed me. He ran as far as the second little house of the neighbors. He kicked in a window and started searching for the gun. He fumbled around until he found it on the wall, and with it a pouch of cartridges. He loaded it. What was he thinking of? So he said. What he was thinking of, so he said, was whether he should avenge me. Shall I go and take a few shots at them, Perzhora? Thought better of it. He found the bicycle. He found an axe. He chopped the door down from inside, put salt into a bag. I don't know whether this seemed the most important thing to him or whether he simply had no time to think. I rode off first by dirt lane, then through the village, straight past the soldiers. They thought nothing of it. Meanwhile, I was put in a cart, still tied up, with 2 soldiers sitting on top of me, and taken to a state farm 2 kilometers away. It had a telephone, and it was from there that the forest ranger, he had been in the boat with the foreman boy keeper, had summoned the red tabs. That's why they had arrived so quickly, because they had been phoned. I hadn't allowed for that. The scene was enacted by myself, and this forester, which may seem unpleasant to relate, but it's typical of what a recaptured prisoner can expect. I wanted to relieve myself standing up, and someone had to help me in the most intimate way, since my hands were twisted behind my back. The Tommy gunners felt that this was beneath them and ordered the forester to go out with me. In the darkness we walked a little way from where the soldiers stood, and as he was assisting me, he asked my forgiveness for betraying me. It's my job, I had no choice. I didn't answer. How can anyone pass judgment? We had been betrayed by people with duties and people without, Everybody we met had betrayed us except that old man with the gray mane. I sit in a hut by the high road, stripped to the waist and bound. I am very thirsty, but they give me nothing to drink. The red tabs glare at me like wild beasts, and every one of them looks for an excuse to prod me with the butt of its gun. But here they can't very well kill me. They can kill you when there are only a few of them and no witnesses. Their rage is understandable. For many days now they have been waiting among the reefs, with no pause for rest, and eating from cans, with never a hot meal. The whole family in the cottage. Children look at me curiously, but are afraid to come near. They even tremble with fear. The militia lieutenant sits drinking vodka with his host, well pleased with success and the reward it will bring. Know who he is, he says boastfully to his host. He's a colonel, a famous American spy, a major criminal who is running away to the American embassy. They've murdered people and eaten them on their way here. He may even believe it himself. The NPD will have disseminated rumors of this sort to catch us more easily, to make everyone denounce us. We're not satisfied with the advantages of power, weapons, speed of movement. We need the help of slander as well. Meanwhile, Coley rides his bicycle along the road, past the cottage, with the rifle slung over his shoulder, so he hadn't a care in the world. He sees brilliantly lighted cottage, soldiers smoking and noisily talking on the veranda, and through the window, me, half naked, and he pedals hard for Omsk. Soldiers will lie in wait all night around the bushes where I was caught, and comb them in the morning. Nobody knows yet that the neighbor's boy-keeper's bicycle and gun have disappeared. He, too, has probably sloped off to brag over a few drinks. When he has revealed long enough in its success, an unheard of success by local standards, the militia lieutenant gives orders for me to be delivered to the village. Once again they throw me in the cart and take me to lockup. There's always one handy. Every village Soviet has one. 2 Tommy gunners stand guard in the corridor. 2 more outside the window. An American espionage colonel. They untie my hands but order me to lie on the floor in the middle of the room and not edge toward any of the walls. That's how I spend an October night, lying on the floor, the upper half of my body bare. In the morning, the captain arrives and pours through me with his eyes. He tosses me my tunic. They already sold the rest of my things for drink. Quietly, with one eye on the door, he asks me a strange question. How do you come to know me? I don't know you. And how did you know? It's the officer in charge of the search. With Captain Vorobyev. Do you know what sort of position you've put me in, you swine? His name was Vorobyev, and he was a captain. In the night, when we were posing as security troops, I had mentioned Captain Vorobyev, and a working man whose life I had spared had reported it all carefully. And now the captain was having trouble. If the commander of the pursuit had connections with the escaped prisoner, it's not surprising that 3 weeks go by, and still they can't catch him. Another pack of officers arrive, shout at me, and among other things ask about Vorobyev. I said that it's a coincidence, and they tied my hands with wire again, removed my shoelaces, and led me through the village in broad daylight. There must have been 20 Tommy gunners in the escort party. The whole village poured out. Women shook their heads. Kids run after me, shouting, "The bandit, they're taking him off to shoot." Wire was cutting into my arms. My shoes fell off at every step, but I held my head high and looked openly and proudly The villagers, letting them see that I was an honest man. They were taking me this way as an object lesson, something for these women and children to remember, legendary tales that would be told 20 years from now. On the edge of the village, they bundled me into the back of a truck, bare and seatless, with splintering old boards. 5-ton Tommy gunners sat with their backs to the cab, so as not to take their eyes off me. Now I must rewind all those kilometers in which we so rejoiced, all those kilometers which took us farther from the camp. By the roundabout motor road, it came to 1,000. They put handcuffs on my wrists, tightened them to the limit. My hands were put behind my back, and I had no means of protecting my face. I lay there more like a block of wood than a man. But this is how they punish our kind. And then the road became very bad. It rained, and the lorry bumped over the potholes. At every bump, the bottom of the lorry scraped my face and head, scratched me, drove splinters into me. Not only could my hands not protect my face, but they themselves were more severely cut than ever over the bump. It felt as though the handcuffs were sawing through my wrists. I tried to crawl to the side and sit with my back propped against it. No good, there was nothing to hold on to. And at the first big bump, I was hurled across the floor and found myself sprawling helplessly. Sometimes I was tossed and hit the boards so violently that I thought my insides would jump out. I couldn't stay on my back. It would tear my hands off at the wrist. I turned onto my side. No good. I roll over on my belly. No good. I try arching my neck so as to raise my head and save it from blows, but my neck gets tired, my head droops, and my face strikes the boards. The 5 guards watch my torment, unconcerned. This trip will form part of their psychological training. Lieutenant Yakolev, who's riding in the cab, looks into the back at every stop and says with a grin, "Haven't escaped then?" I ask permission to relieve myself, and he guffaws. "Go on, do it in your trousers. We don't mind." I ask him to take off the handcuffs, and he laughs. "Lucky you weren't caught by a lad who was on duty when you went under the wire. You wouldn't be alive now." The day before, I had been glad that the beatings were far less than I had earned. But why damage your fists when his back lorry can do it all for you? Every inch of my body was bruised and lacerated. My hands were being sawn off. My head was splitting in pain. My face was battered, full of splinters from the boards. My skin was in ribbons. We traveled the whole day, and almost all night. When I stopped struggling the lorry and ceased to feel my head banging against the boards, one of the sentries couldn't stand it anymore, put a sack under my head, eased the handcuffs while no one was looking, and, bending over me, whispered, "It's all right, hold on. We'll soon be there." What prompted the lad to do it? Who was responsible for his upbringing? Not Maxim Gorky, and not his political company officer, that's for sure. Ekibats a cordon. Get out. I couldn't stand up. If I had, they would have made me run the gauntlet to celebrate. They let down the side and yanked me onto the ground. The camp guards, too, came out to have a look and laugh at me. "Oh, you aggressor, you," somebody yelled. They dragged me through the guardhouse and into the disciplinary barracks. They didn't shove me in solitary, but straight into the common cell, so that anyone who fancied a bid for freedom could take a look at me. In the cell, I was lifted by gentle hands, placed on the upper bed platform. But they had no food to give me until morning rations came. I think I have to stop there. Thank you so much for listening. Have a good day.